G'day, gang. I wanted to talk about a bit more of a different topic today. Um, it's not like an emerging issue, and it's not an overwhelming issue like a lot of the stuff that I talk about. I wanted to talk about pornification in entertainment. Um, yeah, like I said, it's not like something that, like a lot of my topics, are becoming more and more problematic or obnoxious. Um, I think it's just something that writers should think about and evaluate if it's what is wanted. So I'm not necessarily against um, the genre of porn. Uh, I definitely don't think it's healthy to overuse um, it, but I think that most things aren't helpful to overuse. Um, yeah, this one in particular, but um, yeah. So I had a lot of thoughts as to how to approach this, um, and I think it's the same approach, the same opinion that I have about this that I have about pretty much anything involving story, and it always, to me, comes down to um, does it further the plot? Does it better make you understand the characters? Does it give context and significance that there wasn't before? And I think I keep doing this, but I think another example of this done really awkward and weird is in The Witcher TV. And I think an example of this done really well, you guessed it, is in The Witcher games. Um, so I'm going to compare the first game because it's got, like, I've talked about it before, but it's got really cool elements that I think are very unique and interesting. And it's not necessarily about the act itself. It's more so about the collection and the gamer brain of trying to be a completionist, which I think is really fun. And I don't think it's as insidious as people seem to think. But I'll expand. So when Geralt and Yen first meet in The Witcher TV, it's already really clear that Yen is a very sexually charged character, based on also the part of her backstory, which I think is a really tragedy. It's a real tragic event that it was told, because I think the story, like Yen's backstory being withheld, was way more powerful to like let things drip throughout the story. It's a classic. It is a very, very extreme example of showing versus telling being bad. Showing and telling are both elements that we need to use in a story, and we should do more show than tell. But tell is not a bad method. It just needs to be done appropriately. Same as showing, but I think her relationship with I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the characters' names in The Witcher TV, but her relationship with her first boyfriend is very sexually charged, and we didn't need to see all of the scenes to understand that. A lot of it was cut, and they could have cut more without it needing to be there, because it just comes off as gratuitous. And I think that's the point in which that you should make the cut. If that's the content and that's the intent and that's the focus, then that's a different story. But it wasn't seeming to be the focus that this was, like that sort of graphic material, which, as I said, there is a market for both. But know your lane, right? Know your audience. Know what you want to do and where you want to go with it. And the needless focus on it really detracted from other elements in the story, in my opinion. I'm very interested in people's opinions on this topic, because I think this one is so personally based that it so depends on the person watching it, because I think we all have a different expectation of intimacy shown in entertainment. And I think that having it get in the way of the story can overcomplicate things. So as a writer, I'm always going to have a different perspective. In The Witcher 1, one of the methods in which that you had like collectibles was to collect cards of conquest with women. And I'm a big fan of that. I thought it was very, very cool. Little me felt really excited to live vicariously through those moments because I thought Geralt was pretty hot in the games. Just saying. So it was really fun for me to do that. And I think that like it wasn't a gratification thing for me. And I'm never going to speak for anyone else and what they want. Not other women, but especially not other men. Yeah, well, especially not men. Yeah, but I think there was nothing wrong with the way that was implemented, and I think that was really fun and unique and different because in that sense, the story is the collection. Because in games, a lot of the story is the mechanics and not just the story itself. And the mechanics of running around and trying to collect them and trying to interact with all of these characters in different ways and while also solving these really complicated mysteries in the background, which it was a very different game than The Witcher 3. It was a very different game than anything I've personally played. And while I don't think the story was as strong at that stage, I think their writing was developing of the team. But I think that the game itself was really solid in its little interactions and the little story beats they had. So the self-contained story pieces of each section that you moved along. So you were in a town trying to solve all the story elements. They were really beautiful and really complicated. And making Geralt able to engage in deeper intimacy in all senses, I think was a really integral and interesting part of the game that added, didn't detract from the game. It was really neatly and interwoven because, as I always say, these parts were moving so beautifully together. And I think it was really, really cool and interesting how they did that. I think it was one of the cooler elements in the game. And I think, too, being intimate with those characters, that there was a little bit of potential exploitation on both sides, but I think that was the point of it, is that this, when Geralt came into the story, he was often acting as a judge and an executioner. So I think it was really fun for these characters to try to play him a little bit. So oftentimes that, yes, they enjoyed that and it was fun for them and it was building and you got to learn a little bit of intimacy about their character and you got a card that showed them in a pretty risque pose, but it also exposed them as a character of their core. Like it exposed them in their most intimate and beautiful moments, and it was really cool. And I think that doing stuff that's integrated with the story in a way that makes it like feel so cohesive is so cool. They turned what could have been porn into art, and I think that was one of the coolest ways to do that. And like, again, I'm not speaking for anyone but myself, and it wasn't porn for me. It was just this really cool collection and an artistic expression of those characters. And I felt really protective of the characters when I had seen them vulnerable because I had seen a different side to them that other characters hadn't seen. So I did definitely feel like I got exploited sometimes as Geralt because I liked those characters more. But I think, again, that was the beauty of it. And that was it made it feel more morally grey because of that element. I don't see that in The Witcher TV. Like, I get that these characters have these sides to them, but it's so thick and so heavy. For example, with Yen's kinks and quirks, it's so obvious that she's bored. We don't need it interplayed 17 times because it already feels weird and disjointed from the story in the way that it's presented. So I think, as always, again, my approach is always the same. The way that it's presented is what makes it feel awkward and uncomfortable, or makes it feel beautiful and artistic. And I think that there are just so many examples, but this one is, I think the reason I also keep going back to The Witcher is because you have a polar example of something done expressly fantastic and horrifically bad. And it's the same franchise. So I think these two comparisons are always going to be particularly good, but it is something that's really deep within my heart because I'm a particularly big fan of the series. But very interested in where you guys think the line is. Do you guys think that there are certain franchises that have gone too far and it's just weird and uncomfortable, and you're sitting there going, Jesus, why did I ask my parents to watch this with me? Or are you sitting there like, what's your take on it? Very, very interested. Very interested in this one. Don't watch Game of Thrones with your parents. It's gonna get weird. And if it's not weird, maybe that's a red flag. Opinions. Very much want to hear your opinions. Again, as always, please, please, please comment. I get so much out of your comments and I really, really like them. I read every single one of them and they're so precious. They mean the world. Yeah, and if you want me to stay on the platform, give me a sub. If you want me to talk about specific topics, tell me in the videos. Tell me to shut up about videos you don't like by leaving a dislike and a comment. I have a very thick skin. Tell me what you hate. I'm all about it. Like, I'm here for it. But if you like the video, do this one. Do the thumbs up. I forgot what that meant. I forgot the word. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. Well, I hope to see you in the next one. I really appreciate you guys being here. See ya. Bye.